Rolling.
Hello, my name is Kevin Bateman, and this is The Soul Belongs to Us in Finnich Glen Glasgow, Scotland. This poem is called We Have to Fuck Another Country. We are in the Queen's land, full of blood. The same faces breed into each other. I woke up and I was in her land, and not Ireland. My blood was her satisfaction. I am sorry. I am going to die. She made me coffee with her blood inside it.
Yeah, man.
Woo. This poem is called The Soldier. We are Jesus' troops. They will march when he returns, waiting for his command upon his holy Trinity. He stands there, naked and bloody and scarred. He cannot evolve. He is an entity of the past. His justice was his sacrifice. His pain was unworthy. His hope, believing her own judgment, can lead to many problems. This poem is called The Sound of Trumpets. I didn't mean to have Donald Trump in that, but like, you know yourself. The sound of trumpets. The Holy Orchestra plays music for us. It sounds out the last call. A warning that we cannot understand. True beauty exists in a moment so diverse that it floats naturally in front of us. Such a fuss we cannot comprehend what it is. Only sound excel. We cannot see it properly. Our ears start bleeding, and then our eyes. I am an unprotected gem. I walk into your room. I saw a little creepy gremlin stealing your dreams as you slept. You could not see it. You were asleep. You did not have them. It needs them to live. From that day on, I protected you with malachite. Its dark green colour protected you, my child, in the room you slept, so you can fall asleep, so you can dream. and fall asleep and float. Thank you. Next we have texture. Bram E. Gieben. No, it's fine.
The hour is getting late. Cold winds blast the city walls. There's a wolf at the western gate. Behind their masks, madness, or perhaps lack of ambition, lack of conviction, or maybe too much. To them, we're all collateral damage, and this is a war of attrition. Behind their broadcasts, static laced with subliminal transmissions. Let's participate in our own genocide, beckon chemicals, embrace mutation. We're all fading echoes of empire. We're all background radiation, frozen out, made irrelevant, unnecessary to tally the blame. This is a pyramid game, a Ponzi scheme, an imagistic opinion factory, belching out the black smoke of our commonplace consciousnesses. And we're just lovers of the spectacle, replete with privilege and entitlement, slaves to shifting identity, politician clones in identical focus group feedback loops, at the mercy of this vast, barren, bipolar winter with splintered catacombs and locked rooms you dare not enter. The falconer cannot hold the center. The falcon falters, chemically altered upon the altar of our convenience. These dead days in deficit and the effortless pressure of dissonance, the ecstasy of entropy, this never-ending century. The land that time forgot. The land that time deemed not worth remembering. The land that time dismembered, sparing nothing. Spun out holocausts in abandoned tracts of suburban housing. Thank you for browsing these brightly coloured sprayed markings, demarcating this vomit-splattered territory. What is the merit of history if it is its own cryptography? This decoded substance sings electric in bloodstream. Let's trap our hallucinations in a holographic cage and display them. Let's make slaves of our own imaginations and watch passively. First-person shooter on rails until you get thrown like welcome to the Dredd Zone with purple bags of laughing gas refilled from deflated surveillance drones. Your deformed targeting systems, inelegant quadratic equations are scrawled on your sickle cell walls. Either the sleeper must awaken or the medication must be taken and the agency must be obeyed. We got no chance unless we hyperventilate in sodium streetlight glare with those noradrenaline epiphanies tripping vividly until supreme knowledge floods our starlit visions and sets us adrift again. Set us adrift again. Set us adrift again. She said, try and explain it. I said, I can't. She said, try. I said, all I have is images. She said, try and explain it. I said, I'm only as insecure as the eras that I've lived through. I never achieved. My dreams are out of shape and out of focus. And when I found her in that dream, I tethered her selfishly, looking at the parallel realities which emerge from the death dreams of the successful, less artifact, more anomaly, an inversely charged motive, temporal flow, adrift but detached from the time stream. And now, nothing but disappointment exists in the faces and expressions of those who used to be my cheerleaders. A youth passed by frantically like the weaving paths of staggering drunks collapsed in the sub-zero. Let me tell you, nothing about this place inspires parabolic curves of escape velocity. I can't even write in a straight line. Past the point of no return policy, financially backed for loss optimization, not adjustment. Frankly, the wilted flowers and turned earth muddle your graveside like handprints in bruised flesh, and the stubs and spills I leave behind are fucking empty gestures, just breathless, restless as a phone call unanswered in the grey light of an unsecured symmetry where I was licking my wounds. So call the clone factory. This model's dysfunction cannot be cured by yearly doses of psilocybin, and it's not my fault you were so quick to sell out. Disappointments emerge and destruct like demolished tenements, Poverty in the abstract, fatal construction. We have built a prison box based upon internal kaleidoscopes of disappointment, a panopticon for failed seekers, gut-busted, rusted hulks in a graveyard for interstellar cruise liners, mysterious interaction at a distance. I'll relinquish my obscurity for no one, content to decomplexify my own structure, fucking face melter. Suicide strategy by inches, I'm plugging the gaps. I throw myself down on the mattress in Roach Motel architecture, bitter and scabbed, and say, you have reached the midden heap where desolation and ideal process come to rot. Yes, this is where strays first go to become abandoned, and orphans dictate the weight of abuse to be measured out in the parental guidance of good fortune. This is a crucifix of your own description, a refreshing carbonated beverage brewed from your bones. This is as close to home as you will ever get, trapped in the narrow alley between an ideal past you imagined and a future which nobody deserves. The spirit of the age of collapse. A psychic vampire feeding on vacuum souls of equal emptiness. No one gets away clean, and when the hordes come knocking, there'll be no escape vehicle waiting. You must pare it down to essentials. Please ask yourself, are you just another obstacle for those more worthy? Because if you see it differently, then please tell me how you figure. I tell you, the pressure of that trigger finger traps me in indecision, and I'm scared to make the decision, but I know one thing. The first cut is the bleakest, and I'm pretty sure you already got there. And now there is no wave because there is no future. Everything can be bought and sold back to you, regurgitated like a bird's first meal. It's the 21st century. You think it's dangerous to feel? It's been wonderful being here at the Devil's Pulpit, and seeing as this is the Devil's Pulpit, it'd be remiss of me not to touch on religion in some way. So here's my my poem of supplication to the higher forces, shall we say. Modern science is our most complex creation myth. Hydrogen and oxygen particles combine and fuse with surprising symmetry, resulting in extended phenotypes which perpetually experience physical change. Single-celled structures compete, coexist, become codependent, and billions of years from that 0 point of atomic stability, we worship at the altar of infinity, immune to the touch of neutrinos passing. Our fusion reactors imitate stars, producing inefficient transfer vectors. Fossil fuel explosions harness to our expansion as cancer prions migrate from tethered animal to human genome. Tool use becomes simulation, different theories begin to compete, and suddenly an idea is something to die for. But I tell you, the membrane between this quick infinite second and the next, it is impossibly thin. Light gets in and it warps the observable universe. Everything rotates in spiral arms, fractal pathways. Listen, extinguished civilizations could litter our sister planets like a legacy of bad habits. But I know this. The first man born, he called the primate mother, although his soft palate predated words. The first second passed without ever being measured, and a baby universe could fit inside each atom of your hand. We're just here to watch that matter cool and expand. Any change in the fundamental forces and none of this would have occurred. No heat transferred, no carbon matter reactions. We are the shadows cast by our ancestors, walking in the footsteps of the great apes and the trails of the snakes, the ashes of volcanoes and mountains and stars. We are charmed. We are such stuff as dreams are made on, stacked atoms in symphony. All that exists or can be imagined belongs to us, and we leave the world with nothing. We are all part of the pattern. We cannot be created or destroyed. We are all part of the pattern. We cannot be created or destroyed. We are all part of the pattern. And we cannot be created or destroyed. Thank you.
And up next is Michael O'Brien.
Opposition Antelope. Jimmy Carter himself, aristocratic footage, uncredited. Even the underworld has its unique aroma. The smoothie of beehives isn't one you'd even moaner for anything else. Blips are fungicide, but buying the wrong one is anything but. The produce you buy is a surcharge of grouse, straitjacket, simply not fresh. The wind stirs the hair that rests on her tanned shoulders. That warmth, that scent, every freckle, every crease. I map my flight in every line to wish the body into being. In the spring, in the summer, autumn too, and the winter, for rest that grips every night, for strength that stirs every frown. Binary horizon, pastel, oh, dust might spit teeth at the fire marshals who rowdily round the bear cubs. 140 words or less fill the university panels. Apes take their fill of fossils and feelings. Martyrs carry stones for every continent. Shark-toothed limestone, red sandstone, okay? We need parents, not martyrs of rare geology, counting the tears of the father of topaz. A wind whips up over the moor, bottles wrench from lips, myrtle and sundew, stagger, bow, sun caught in green, off pink, off lilac, sunset. Sharing our indecision through lint tote bags, her eyes fill, and the sky. Apes now over their digestive maladies rub willow branches on their scalps. Inside tips from James Franco himself, a way to cure dandruff and depression. And no one is really sure if either work. James or the apes, chuck chuck. A train cuts through a tea plantation. James has such good posture. Mercifully, the boots tread the intestines of an unmilked beast. We sit and scratch divine. I watch your hand trace the outline of night. I think back to when I was scared to touch you. Your eye caught, I smile. Boots underneath, soil for the numbers to count, laced in the leopard thread. Sallow infinity, a book trend plus one infinity. Thank you.
Water. Perfect. And next we have Sherry Morris.
Coming clean. I once dated a girl who kept a dirty dictionary. When I say she kept it, I mean she was the one who made the entries. When I say dirty, I mean she was writing down all the words she thought were dirty. Not in an unclean, grimy sense, but in a naughty, kinky sense. I found it accidentally when I was looking for my watch. There, underneath her pillow, was a small pink notebook labeled Dirty Words. Who wouldn't look inside that? She'd already left for work, so I couldn't directly ask her. But for the record, I did say out loud, could I have a peek? I didn't hear any objections. So I started to read. Instead of finding words like asshole, motherfucker, cock, or bitch, there were entries like ripe, swallow, juicy. I thought it was some kind of a wind-up. These weren't really dirty words, only vaguely, faintly bad sometimes in certain contexts. But then I noticed, after each word, she had a description rather than a definition. Some words had stars or pluses after them for extra points. For juicy, it said, makes your lips pucker and sounds like wet sex. Next to swallow, she'd written, leaves the mouth open and ready to receive. I wasn't sure what she was on about, so I tried it. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror and said, juicy. Then I said, swallow. She was right. Her descriptions were spot on. I even felt a faint stirring from below when I said those words. It was like a book of word porn, but it was sexy. Something for the thinking man or woman. I had to hand it to her. She really was dedicated to words. I'd known she had a thing about words, and I liked that about her. How I'd be in the middle of a thought, the middle of a sentence, the middle of an argument, and she'd say, "Wait a minute. Say that again. I want to see your mouth." And everything would go on hold while I repeated what I said, and she watched. Then she'd make some sort of mental note and say, "Okay, you can go back to what you were saying." But I rarely remembered. I hadn't really understood what she was doing. She never told me about this project. I thought it was just a technique for changing the subject or stopping an argument, or that maybe she was a little bit deaf and trying to lip read. I knew she had a notebook to make notes and write down interesting thoughts that came to her. Now I realized she was making notes for her dirty dictionary. I thought it was just another one of her quirks, something that writers do. She told me she was writing a book. I never asked her what her book was about. I wish I had. We'd met by chance at a cafe. She'd been scribbling away in a notebook, and I'd been people watching at a table nearby. Truth be told, I'd been watching her. She was attractive and a bit odd. I liked watching odd people. She seemed to be listening to the conversations around her and noting what she heard, then murmuring the words back to herself. A murmur, by the way, is one of the dirtiest words in her book. A husky breath oozing out over open lips. So I introduced myself, and she said she was a dedicated wordsmith. I didn't know then, but wordsmith is a moderately dirty word. Lips open and round to make the O like porn star whores. We talked easily about literature and books, and she didn't seem to have anywhere to be, so I took a chance and challenged her to a game of Scrabble right then and there. "Well, how?" she said. "This cafe has a game," I told her. "We'll play with the proper board and tiles." She smiled. "I'm good," I told her, because I was. "I'm better," she said. And she was. I enjoyed being beaten by her. I lost by 30 points and was really trying at the end. Nobody laid a word on a red triple score like she did. I'd like to think I challenged her at least a little. In any case, it got me an official date with her. So I figured I was the winner after all. We fell into a relationship quite easily. At least that's how it seemed to me. I liked sharp women, and she didn't put up with any nonsense. She'd call you out when you were inconsistent, tell you if you were rambling or repetitive, and always corrected your grammar and punctuation, even in texts. I got used to her conversational halts, little head tilts, and concentrated face while she studied my mouth when I repeated words or phrases. I wondered how long she'd been keeping the diary, and why she still hadn't mentioned it to me. Should I tell her that I found it? We were still fairly early in our relationship. Instinctively, I felt this was something secret. Telling her I found it was the sort of thing that could either bring us closer together or muck things up. I guess it was also the kind of thing that could make some guys decide it was a bit further out on the weirdness scale than they were willing to go for a fuck. But not me. Fuck, by the way, isn't in the dictionary. It doesn't really do anything for the mouth. The jaw lowers, but only momentarily. It's hard and clipped. Your mouth barely needs to open to say it. Making love leaves the mouth in a much sexier position. Try it out for yourself. I liked her dictionary even when I couldn't understand her logic. Whores was in there, round, open for sex. But horses wasn't. And I happily went along with her notebook jottings and repeating various random phrases while she watched my mouth, every so often muttering, "Ooh, good one, babe," when I said purple or pucker. When we were in bed together, she'd ask me to talk dirty to her. At first, I'd say things like, "Yeah, baby, feels so good, keep going, you look so hot." But I could sense that wasn't right. So I asked her what she wanted me to say. It felt a little weird to whisper the word hose in her ear. But I'm not going to argue with a woman who's naked in bed next to me. I wouldn't have been able to come up with the words for her on my own. But after reading the dictionary, I had a whole new set of tools at my disposal. I could feel her body spasm and the sharp intake of air when I said in her ear, "Periwinkle blue," knowing she felt that was one of the dirtiest colors in the crayon box. Apparently winkle just sounds naughty, and blue is a slutty word that sounds like the end of a climax. I admit I used the information in the dictionary to my advantage. I told her my childhood pet was named Lola. She swooned, that's in the dictionary, and she could hardly get me into bed fast enough. According to her dictionary, Lola is one of the filthiest names on the planet. A mouth and tongue exercise in preparation for oral sex. She told me later if she could change her name to anything, it'd be to Lola. It was hard to know what to make of her dirty dictionary. Was it a turn-on tool or a book of judgment, or both? She seemed tuned into dirty words, though her definition of dirty was a bit different. But after a while, I got it. She was into erotic sounds. Maybe that's what she should have called her dictionary. But then, this was her book and not mine, which I guess is why she freaked out when I told her I discovered it. She said she felt violated and that I was a fake, manipulating her, mocking her and her love of words and sounds and laughing at her behind her back. Of course I told her that wasn't true. I thought her book was cool and I was happy to say anything she liked for her collection. But she just shut down. She wouldn't talk to me or listen to me. She wouldn't look at my mouth. I knew it was serious then. At the time I was an idiot, thinking I didn't need such a high-maintenance woman, that it wasn't worth it, and there would be plenty of other fish in the sea, tuna, flounder. So I walked away. But I was wrong. Really wrong. I miss her ways. I miss her listening to my words, looking at my mouth, and loving words enough to keep her own book of erotic sounds. I want her back. I tried ringing and texting, but I got nowhere. So I wrote a letter. This letter. To be read out here. It has all her favorite words in it, the ones she starred and the ones she gave extra pluses to. I'm also adding another word. Sorry. It's not dirty, but I mean it sincerely, which is a moderately dirty word. But here's a word I think better. Apologies. The mouth lingers open at the beginning of the word and it ends on the S, which she likes so much. Apologies, apologies, apologies to the always lovely Lola. I know she's here this afternoon, my Lola. I can feel her listening to all these words. So hear this, Lola. I won't betray your trust. I give you my word. All of them. To write down, to file, to annotate, to use in whatever way you wish. So come back to me, Lola. Let's start again. What do you say? Thank you.
We're all going to bow. We're all going to bow, so I'm going to call you, so you're going to stand up there and bow. You want to run up there? Give for you... no, not yet. One at a time. Sorry, bossy. Yeah. Give for you, Bram E. Gieben. Texture.
Thank you.
Michael O'Brien. Sherry Morris. And someone hold the camera. Don't drop the fucking thing. Thank you. Woo. And someone hold the camera. We're all gonna go forward. Thank you all for coming. This is The Soul Belongs to Us in Finnich Glen in Glasgow on the 29th of April 2017. Thank you all for coming. Thank you. Hey, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah.